very good morning. You're with News 9 Live. Over the next half hour, all top stories from around the world that move the needle on markets, businesses and the economy. I'm Karthik Malhotra and you're watching World Business Report. This is World Business Report. The top story we're tracking this morning. Houthi rebels have targeted a US-owned cargo ship named Gibraltar Eagle with a ballistic missile near Yemen's coast. As per reports, there were no reported injuries or significant damage to the vessel, which is a Marshall Islands flagged bulk carrier carrying steel products. The ship, despite suffering limited damage to a cargo hold, remains stable and is reportedly continuing its journey in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthi rebels, backed by Iran, have been conducting such attacks since November as a protest against Israel's actions in its conflict with Hamas. In a separate incident, a missile aimed at a US destroyer in the Red Sea was intercepted and shot down by a US fighter jet earlier. The Houthis have been targeting commercial ships in the Red Sea, claiming ties to Israel or bound for Israeli ports, expressing support for the Palestinians and Hamas in Gaza amid the ongoing conflict. The Houthi attacks on cargo ships in the Red Sea have led to many of the world's biggest shipping companies to change course, causing major disruption to global commerce. In reaction to the strikes, the US Department of Transportation issued a maritime alert recommending that US flag and US-owned commercial vessels remain clear of specified areas in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. And staying with the conflict in the Middle East, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing a decline in support as the ongoing Israel-Hamas war surpasses the 100-day mark. Here's that report.
Israelis are still reeling months after the October 7th attack by Hamas militants that saw 1,200 people killed and 240 taken hostage. But stunned by the massive security failure, many say it's time for the country's prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to go.
Netanyahu has been prime minister for many years, and I think now it's time for him to step up and go home, because what happened on the 7th of October is a big crisis, and he should take responsibility.
Benjamin Netanyahu, I think he's done. He's finished. But never mind, I will still vote for the right.
After October 7, Israel launched a siege on the densely populated Gaza Strip and a military campaign against Hamas. More than 24,000 Palestinians have been killed. Netanyahu had for years brandished himself with a Mr. Security image, but only 15% of Israelis say they want him to remain in office after the war on Hamas ends. That's according to a poll published by the nonpartisan Israel Democracy Institute on January 2nd. The anti-government protests that swept over Israel for almost a year have rekindled after a pause. But the embattled Netanyahu is showing no signs of wanting to leave.
And now, if he really lost a lot of support, so I think that's it. He cannot continue.
Political science chair Gideon Rahat at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem said Netanyahu will have a difficult time reclaiming his image.
No peace initiatives, no big wars. That was his policy. He sustained it, and many people were happy about it, because he gave you a feeling of security, of peace, of prosperity. And then it all went wrong on October 7th. And it would be very hard for him to convince people that this policy can continue.
Netanyahu has vowed to pursue war until complete victory over Hamas. Security chiefs warn combat will run through 2024. But while political change looks unlikely in the near term, there are signs that some are jockeying for position. Reports of wrangling within the security cabinet have been leaked to the Israeli press, and far-right police minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has taken swipes at Benny Gantz. Israel's former centrist defense chief who joined Netanyahu's emergency government and war cabinet. Gantz has seen his popularity soar in the polls, with voters eyeing him as a responsible man of the people. Here's Gideon Rahat again.
For the first time for so many years, we see an alternative leader, and this is very important. Israeli politics is highly personalized, and when a leader has a margin over him of 15-20%, that is Benny Gantz, I think he's in troubles.
All right, let's shift focus across the coast. What's happening in the U.S. election season has formally been kicked off. Donald Trump secured a resounding victory in the first 2024 Republican presidential contest in Iowa on Jan 15th, asserting his dominance over the party as he seeks a third consecutive nomination with a rematch with Democratic President Joe Biden. The battle for second place was fiercely contested as well, with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis ultimately outperforming former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley. According to reports, Ron DeSantis has secured second place and left Haley in the third. And in an anticipated gathering at the World Economic Forum in Davos, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and French President Emmanuel Macron, alongside key Middle East leaders, are set to address pressing issues such as the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. The summit, typically focused on economic themes, faces an unusually tense backdrop this year. Here's that story.
Global political and business elites are gathering once again in Davos. The Swiss ski resort hosts the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and French President Emmanuel Macron are among those expected, alongside thousands of business leaders. But the meeting has rarely faced a more tense or complex backdrop, with talks due on how to end wars in Ukraine and Gaza. One focus is whether Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will meet Chinese Premier Li Qiang during the event. On Sunday, Ukraine Presidential Chief of Staff Andriy Yermak remained hopeful.
I didn't see the final schedule of the meetings of the presidents. We know that the Prime Minister of China will be as well here. Let's see.
Zelensky will speak in Davos later in the week. As for Gaza, the White House says Blinken will bring together key players. That includes Israel's president and the leaders of Qatar and the United Arab Emirates, countries that have emerged as power brokers in the region. It all overshadows the usual economic themes at Davos, though they too look unusually complex. On the agenda will be the future for interest rates and the world's mounting pile of debt. A keenly awaited debut will be made by Argentina's new president, Javier Milei, voted in on a promise of sweeping economic reforms. But one figure looming large at Davos won't actually be there. Donald Trump was the star attraction in some previous years.
Oh no, I have great confidence in the Senate.
But is staying away this time to focus on his re-election bid. He didn't even get a mention in the WEF's annual Global Risks Report, published each year ahead of Davos. But the possibility that he might win, and the consequences that might have, are very much on the unofficial agenda.
All right, Donald Trump is missing from the World Economic Forum, but Malaysian actor and United Nations Development Programme Goodwill Ambassador Michelle Yeoh is not. In fact, Michelle Yeoh has been honoured with the Crystal Award 2024 at the World Economic Forum. Here's that story.
For me personally, action in the face of adversity opened doors, altered the course of my life, and made every dream of a little girl come true. I wish the same for millions of women and girls around the world, that action, big and small, might empower, illuminate, and elevate their lives. And I invite everyone in this room to join forces in order to make that dream a reality.
All right, and staying with Davos, with the World Economic Forum, it's never seen outside of the second track of activism. In fact, Greenpeace activists have taken a creative stand this time around in their protest against the World Economic Forum by crafting a mountain fresco. The striking visual statement serves as a unique form of dissent against the World Economic Forum's policies or practices. The environmental organization is known for its innovative and attention-grabbing methods to draw attention to global issues, and this mountain fresco is the latest addition to their arsenal of creative activism. Take a look.
जनवरी को होने वाला चंडीगढ़ मेयर चुनाव कोई आम चुनाव नहीं है। ये इस देश की राजनीति की तकदीर, तस्वीर, दशा और दिशा बदलने वाला चुनाव है। और ये चुनाव हमारा मानना है कि आने वाले
737 MAX 9 mid-flight, Boeing is now facing a delay in resuming deliveries of the 737 MAX jets to China. China's Southern Airlines, initially set to receive MAX planes in January, is now planning additional safety inspections on the aircraft fleet. China's aviation regulator has instructed all of the country's airlines to conduct precautionary safety inspections on their Boeing 737 MAX jets. Here's more.
Boeing faces a fresh delay as it tries to resume deliveries of 737 MAX jets to China. That's according to a report in the Wall Street Journal on Sunday. The hold-up comes after the mid-air blowout of a panel on an Alaska Airlines MAX 9 earlier this month. China Southern Airlines was ready to receive related but not identical planes in January. Now the journal reported it plans to conduct more safety inspections on the aircraft. The report further said China's aviation regulator told airlines to conduct precautionary safety inspections on their MAX jets. Chinese airlines do not use the MAX 9 model. The MAX 8 jets they operate lack the panel involved in the Alaska Airlines incident. The journal reported Beijing is holding off from making further big moves as it waits for more clarity from US investigations into the accident. Boeing declined to comment. China Southern Airlines and Chinese regulators did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment. China suspended most orders and deliveries of Boeing planes in 2019. That followed the worldwide grounding of the 737 MAX after 2 fatal crashes.
Well, staying with trade between China and US, from aviation to technology, amid growing competitive pressure in the world's biggest smartphone market, Apple has now launched a Lunar New Year promotion in China, offering up to $70 off on certain iPhone models for a limited time in an effort to increase sales. According to reports, the US technology giant has lowered the prices of select iPhones by 5% on Monday. Here's that story.
There are mounting signs that Apple is under pressure in China. On Monday, its website in the country showed that it was doing discounts, a rare practice for the tech giant. The prices of some phones were cut by as much as 500 yuan, or about $70. It's all branded as a time-limited event ahead of the Lunar New Year holidays. But sales of Apple's iPhone 15 handset in China have been far worse than for previous models. Homegrown competitors including Huawei and Xiaomi are offering competitive handsets. And Reuters sources say some companies and government departments are curbing staffers' use of Apple products. That mirrors US restrictions on some Chinese products and could crimp demand. Overall, analysts say Chinese iPhone sales were down 30% on the year in the first week of 2024. Apple hasn't cut the prices of its newest models for years, but it surprised markets by not raising prices for the latest range when it was launched in September. Chinese online platforms including Pinduoduo have slashed prices for the iPhone 15 series by as much as 16% since the start of the year.
All right, let's slip into a short break at this moment. More global stories on the other side.
Ram's Ayodhya rebuilt. Ram Lala's Pran Pratishtha. Countdown to January 22nd. Dateline Ayodhya. Catch the mega coverage only on News 9 Live.
Welcome back to World Business Report. Moving to Germany now, the country's economy faced contraction due to ongoing challenges in 2023, including persistent inflation, elevated energy prices and weak foreign demand. Despite these adverse factors, the economy managed to evade a full-fledged recession by the end of the year. Take a look at this report to know how the German economy dodged recession despite shrinking.
The German economy contracted in 2023 but avoided a recession. Just. Persistent inflation, high energy prices and weak foreign demand drove the fall. Official data released Monday showed GDP shrank 0.3% over the full year, in line with analyst forecasts. Germany's Statistics Office said prices remained high and hurt economic growth. As a result, the country's economy did not continue its recovery from the sharp economic slump seen in the global health crisis. But GDP was still 0.7% higher last year than in 2019, the year before the health crisis hit. Economic performance in industry, excluding construction, fell 2% in 2023. That was due to much lower production in the energy supply sector. Household consumption in 2023 was down a price-adjusted 0.8% on the previous year. The slow pace of growth of the global economy and weak domestic demand in 2023 also hurt foreign trade, which declined despite falling prices. The German economy shrank by 0.3% in the final quarter of last year compared with the previous period. However, the Eurozone's largest economy stagnated in the previous quarter after earlier negative numbers were revised upwards. That means the country didn't quite see 2 straight quarters of contraction, the usual definition of a recession.
All right, well, slipping into recession. Moving to the auto sector now, Toyota Motor aims to manufacture over 10 million, in fact 10.3 million vehicles globally this year, 2024, marking a second consecutive year of record annual production. The plan includes the production of 3.4 million vehicles in Japan and 6.9 million vehicles overseas by the end of the calendar year. Take a look at this story.
Toyota plans to produce about 10.3 million vehicles globally this year. That was the report from the Nikkei on Monday. If the Japanese auto giant hits its target, it would mark a second year in a row of record annual production. Toyota is preparing to increase production thanks to strong sales of hybrid vehicles, according to the report. The Nikkei further added a shortage of automotive semiconductors and other components is also easing. The report said the world's biggest automaker by sales aims to produce 3.4 million vehicles in Japan and 6.9 million overseas. The figures include its luxury Lexus brand. The Toyota spokesperson said the report was not something the company had announced without commenting further. Last month, Toyota said it produced 9.2 million vehicles during the first 11 months of 2023. Around a third of the vehicles it sold worldwide over the period were gasoline-electric hybrids.
Well, Denmark's king, Frederik X, ascended the throne on Sunday, succeeding his mother, Queen Margaret II, who formally abdicated after 52 years as a monarch. Large crowds gathered in the capital to witness this historic moment. Take a look at these visuals.
Huge crowds gathered in the Danish capital, Copenhagen, on Sunday to witness history, as Denmark's King Frederik X acceded to the throne. He succeeds his mother, Queen Margrethe II, who formally abdicated after 52 years as monarch. 83-year-old Margrethe stunned the nation on New Year's Eve when she announced she would become the first Danish monarch in almost 900 years to voluntarily relinquish the throne. In attendance Sunday were Margrethe, Frederik, his Australian-born wife Mary, who is now Queen, and their oldest son Christian, 18, who is the new heir to the throne. Denmark has one of the oldest monarchies in the world. Tens of thousands from all over the country braved the cold for the event, a sign of the popularity the monarchy enjoys in the nation of nearly 6 million.
It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to cope being a king. It's a big change for him, but it's also a big change for the Danish people. We are used to having a queen.
That was emotional because, you know, after I'm 52 years old and he's been a part of my life the whole life, you know, and the way she has performed, it's outstanding, I must say.
The couple will continue to reside with Margrethe, who will retain her title as queen, in their respective palaces at the Amalienborg Royal Complex. A recent survey indicated that 82% of Danes expect Frederik to do well or very well in his new role, while 86% said the same about Mary.
All right, time to move to some entertainment news now. The 75th Primetime Emmy Awards 2024 took place on Monday night, or rather just a few hours ago India time, with the biggest winners of the night being Succession and The Bear. While Succession won big honors at the awards show, including Best Drama Series, just days after sweeping the awards at Golden Globes 2024 and Critics' Choice Awards, The Bear won Best Comedy Series among many other awards. Take a look at how the actors from some of the last year's biggest shows walked the shiny silver carpet at the Emmys. Well, from the Emmy silver carpet to the Oscars red carpet, a heartwarming story of a man jailed for wearing a tie has become the first Armenian film to make it onto the Oscars shortlist in the international feature category. Here's the story.
Armenia has never been shortlisted before, never been nominated before, so it's been very impactful, not just for me, but for the country itself. So this story is about a repatriate from America, an Armenian who goes back and ends up in prison and for wearing a tie, which is based on a true story. But really what the film is about survival and resilience. And so part of making this film was to help build the film industry in Armenia.
Well, that's a wrap on this edition of World Business Report, but news and updates will continue on News 9 Live on the other side of this break, and I'll see you tomorrow with fresh stories on the World Business Report. Thanks for watching.
It was my 14th birthday.
On birthday, daughter waits
home missing father. He was carrying a cake for his daughter.
49-year-old Birmingham-based
Indian diplomat vanishes.
He was grabbed and bundled into a car by 4 assailants.
KLA claims responsibility. Demands Kashmiri separatists.